everybody, and welcome to the Transatlantic Watch Party, a TikTok live/podcast where Dan and myself, Cara, discuss a TV show that we have both watched. This week we will be discussing 911 episodes 901 and 902, so the first two episodes of the new season. There you go.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. And you're always better at the intro than I am. And I apologize for forgetting about last week. We were going to do this last week, and I reached out and contacted you, and I completely forgot about it. But it's just as well, because last week I was stung in the eye by a wasp, and so my eye was like all kind of swollen up. So that's probably why I forgot. I was otherwise occupied. I wouldn't have wanted to go on the live anyway, because it was all like kind of didn't look good. I was shocked. Everyone gets so weirded out by eye injuries. It's really kind of interesting.
Yes, I do remember. I remember specifically someone in my class having an eye injury in primary school. So when I was very young. So yeah, definitely. Eyeballs are just gross and weird, and we don't like to think about them. They're just around there. So we will remind everyone, you were new to 911 last season. So season 8 was your first ever season of 911. And I have been watching since the beginning. Not since it started. I didn't start watching it when it first released. I binged the whole thing probably about 4 years ago. I can't tell, 4 or 5 years ago. So you are still very much a general audience kind of guy. And
I'm feeling like a little bit more familiar, though. I gotta say, coming back to it, a second season, I'm like, okay, now I know what's going on. I know all these characters, so I'm feeling like I'm a bit more in as I feel like a 911 watcher now, actually.
Yes. Whereas I am more of a 911, it just inject this stuff straight into my veins kind of person. You know,
at the next level.
Yes. Most of my FYP is 911 stuff. I'm fed it constantly. So last season, our opening emergency was a B-nado, which was actually only a teeny tiny bit of the emergency. And then the main emergency was that Athena had to land a plane.
Right, yes.
And now this season, our opening emergency is Athena and Hen are going to have to land a spacecraft.
I love it. But I think it goes back further, because it wasn't the season premiere before that, the Poseidon Adventure one where they were on the boat and they flipped over, and they even made a joke about it in these episodes where it's like, you are a jinx, why am I bringing you? And even says after everything happens, what, I can't take you anywhere. Like, there's all kinds of references. Athena is a jinx. She should never travel. She should never go on anything other than a car. Right? But she should
only be in her police car ever. That's the only thing she should ever drive. We're skipping, but it was in the second episode. It was when Hen said, "I wouldn't even think about taking you on a train." You know, because of the feeling like I'm not good at non-land-based travel. You can't take her on a boat, you can't take her on a plane, and you cannot, under any circumstances, take her to space.
I feel like they have to, they've just set themselves up for failure now, because how are they going to top this? Because now they've set a trend. They're going to kick off each season with some sort of travel-related disaster. And 3 years ago, and now what are they going to actually go to another dimension next? Like, I don't know where they could possibly go with this. She's been into space. I don't know.
Yeah, I think next season is going to be segways. They're going to have to take it right back down, or like mopeds or something. Yeah,
hilarious.
I have a mobility scooter, so maybe it could be a load of people on mobility scooters. That would be amazing.
Oh, that would be, yes, that'd be great, actually. Probably very exciting.
They could get me on as, like a consultant. ABC, like 911 on ABC, call me. I'm available as a consultant, as somebody who uses a mobility scooter. And can I just say, we've got because we're on TikTok, obviously, we've got in the lives, Iz has joined us. Hi, Izzy. We're so glad that you're here.
Really? Thank you for joining us. That's awesome. Yeah, go ahead. And no insect.
Should we just dive right in? I mean, we already have, but shall we go into our blow by blow?
Yeah, and I want to start by saying, like, I got I got really excited at the beginning when the opening scene is like in space, right? For the very first episode. But I don't, after watching the last two episodes, I don't think we really needed it in the end. I think that I would have rather just started with the main emergency being the guy in the kayak, the billionaire in the kayak. What was his name? Trip something?
Hauser.
Uh, Hauser. He's obviously some sort of Elon Musk an analog, right? Like he's a tech billionaire who owns a space company and all kinds of other stuff. He's not quite as big of an a-hole.
Now, this is
a hole.
a lot in the discussion online is I keep seeing people saying he is Elon Musk, but we must not forget that the person who sent Katy Perry to space was in fact Jeff Bezos. Right. And that's why he mentions Bezos, they mention Katy Perry. There's a very funny moment where they mention Katy Perry in the second episode. But the thing with the first scene is my immediate thought was Gravity, the film Gravity.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, what in the Gravity is this? Like, this is, and they do like to do film references.
Yeah. True.
So like the Beanado was the Swarm, and we had the Poseidon Adventure, and we've always had these film references. So I wonder if they didn't really, because the space thing was not going to be like they're in an actual spaceship, so they can't really do an Apollo 13, although they kind of are, because now they're going to have to like.
Yeah, I think that's next episode is Apollo 13, right?
Yeah. And so I feel like maybe they were like, let's just stick a bit of gravity in right at the very beginning.
Yeah, I think it was meant as a tease, like to keep people kind of engaged in what's coming up. Like this episode is mostly going to be on land, but don't worry, we're going to get to space eventually. And because then it goes, what was it? How 2 weeks earlier or something like that? It cut back to we cut back to what was it, Bobby's memorial? Was that the next scene?
It was them dedicating the firehouse to Bobby.
Bobby, yeah, that was nice. I like that.
It was lovely, but look, Bobby now has a baby and a fire station named after him. So I just wonder if, like, as the season progresses, like, more and more things are going to get named Bobby Nash.
I don't know.
Is he going to get a bench somewhere? Is he going to get, like, some award named after him? Like, just by the end of this season, the name Bobby Nash is going to just be written everywhere. No one in LA is going to not know who Bobby Nash was.
I'm surprised they didn't dedicate the space flight to him, It was all about heroes, right? The whole thing was about heroes. Anyway.
Yes. So we discovered some very important information. Captain Hahn is interim Captain Hahn.
And he's like the first person to remind everybody of that, by the way. He always says, interim, I'm interim. He doesn't want to really be in charge. I don't think he really does. He just doesn't want to admit it to himself because he's good at it.
He is now. Now, you haven't seen the season where he was really bad at it.
Oh, you told me about that, though. Yeah, you told me that. Okay, so that's why he feels that way. I get it. That's why he's like afraid he's going to fail.
Yeah, he thinks like, I don't know, he wants to be better at it than he was last time. But also when he has the discussion with Eddie, there is a lot of like, of all the people to step into Bobby's shoes, it shouldn't be, he feels like it shouldn't be him. Because he still feels so guilty about the fact that Bobby saved him and lost his life. He feels so bad about that. Izza said, I feel like he's done a complete 180 being captain, and I agree. He is, I mean, he's older, he's wiser, he's not, he's not so desperate. Like Chimney at the beginning of the whole series was really quite desperate for love and attention, and like he and Bobby got into it, and he wasn't this like soft, lovely, madney version of Chimney that we have now. And I think, so there was maybe that about him, that he was just a stand-in captain when Bobby had gone off, and maybe he was so desperate to like get everyone to follow his orders that he went a bit authoritarian. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess.
I did love the fact that like so many people were there. Like Sue was there. I love Sue. We need more Sue. Sue should be in every episode.
Sue, the 911 dispatch, the old person in charge of the call center. Is that who that is? Yeah, we saw her in the second episode too, right? Like she actually has a line in the next episode.
Often we've had an entire Sue episode.
Oh, okay.
what's interesting is we didn't see Josh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we usually see him, right?
Yeah. But Karen was there and the kids were there, and it was really nice. And Maddie was there, and she brought both of her kids. So I enjoyed it when Chimney went, "This is Bobby's house," and I just thought that little Bobby Nash Hahn in his stroller would be like, "My house? Bonus."
Yeah.
This house was named after me.
I'll have to give them props for attention to detail. Maddie still has a bit of a scar, a little light scar on her neck from the previous season's trauma. It's pretty light. I mean, they did, but it's there. I mean, they're not forgetting about it completely.
Yeah, when Shim had rebar through the head, he had this little X on his forehead, and people talk about how it disappeared, but it was there for a while, and it did get lighter and lighter and lighter. They didn't completely forget about it. But as we know from 911, people move on from trauma very quickly, so I don't know why their scars also shouldn't. The physical and emotional scars are just gone, and I never think about them again. And then we get our favourite thing, jealous Buck.
Yeah, and I do. Go ahead.
Being an asshole.
Yeah, but for a weird reason, because he's jealous of Hen, and because somehow Eddie and Hen are now best friends. And when did that happen? And why do they feel that they have to force it in like that? It was kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, they didn't, and they aren't. Now, this was what we saw in season 7, and I'm sure we've seen it before. But the thing that led to Buck's bisexuality storyline was that Eddie got a new friend, and Buck was seething about the entire thing and couldn't let it go, and he felt left out, and it was And then we got this, and now Eddie has, and also, I would say, being the buddy shipper that I am, I would say that he was worried about losing Eddie. The person Eddie was hanging out with was Tommy Kinnard, who we saw in season 8 as Buck's boyfriend for a few episodes, and I think he mistakenly put the feelings that he has for Eddie onto Tommy, and that's how he ended up with that relationship. Now, what's interesting is, of course, he can't put those feelings onto Hen, because she is a married lesbian who he has known for 9 years.
With a mom to her, right? She's like a mother to him, so no, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So
my question is, why is Eddie and Hen why are they so close now? Like, that seems like a bit forced.
Because they are the paramedics now. They didn't make that abundantly clear, but because Chim is now interim captain, that means that Eddie has stepped into his position because he has the medical training. He was
Oh, okay. So he's a paramedic, technically.
Yeah. So
he was a firefighter before.
Yeah, when he was in the army, he was a medic in the army. So I don't know whether he has done his full-on paramedic exam, but he talks about learning from Hen. So whether he is on that path, but he is currently partnered with Hen. And Buck is partnered with poor Ravi.
Well, that had some good lines, actually. He had probably my favorite line of the first episode. If we can move ahead to the rescue of the billionaire, when they ask, like, when they get there, okay, so the billionaire is swallowed by a whale. He's out kayaking, and this is a real thing that happened. I don't know if it was a billionaire, but it did happen to somebody who was out somewhere snorkeling and got swallowed by a whale, get out again. It did actually happen to somebody in the last few years. I remember seeing a story about it. And so when they get the guy swallowed by the whale, but he's still on his call. They still got that awesome cell phone service with the guy's inside a whale. And he's still there. So then he's like, and they're like, satellites. I love how they always have somebody asking the question, right? Because that someone in the audience is going to be asking the question, how can you possibly have cell phone service? And somebody says, satellites? Which we can say later on, actually. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But then when they get there and they're like trying to figure out what to do, and then Chim starts barking orders and getting everyone moving. He did feel kind of like Bobby in that moment, right? Okay, you do this. He had a plan. And he's like, get the hoses, get the thing. He's like, and Robbie's like, but he's not on fire. It's just a great line. He's not. He's the opposite of on fire. He's in a whale in the water. So,
Yeah.
none of
Why
them
are we
do it.
putting more water into the water, Tim? You're
Yes.
insane.
But the idea was to put they put the sirens on, and so the sound carries through the water, and it forces the whale to come up because he doesn't like the sound and spit out the billionaire. And then Eddie just jumps in and rescues him. That was crazy.
That was insane. But just to say about Ravi, I often feel like Ravi is kind of the audience insert.
Yeah.
Like the whole fire fam, as we call them, these people are insane. They're like, it's not normal. The way they live, the way they work, it's not normal. And I feel like Ravi is like, because literally, Buck says to him, like, they're acting like they've been working together for years. And I went, they have been working together for years. And Ravi went, they have been working together for years. I was like, yeah, thanks, Ravi. Thanks. He's like the normal, grounded. And I think it's the only reason he's not a main, and which I'm devastated by. I'm so desperate for Ravi to be a main character. But because we don't see him sort of outside. We know he's a landlord, which boo, not happy about that. But we know he's a landlord, and you know, other than that, we don't really know much about him. He isn't like as joined at the hip with the rest of them as they all are. So he's like, I imagine he like runs intelligence between the core four and everybody else in that firehouse. Because I think I said to you last season, my idea is that every shift, one person in the extras, like who we never see, is nominated by the other people in the firehouse to like just keep an eye on those nut jobs. Just so that we know what's going on. And there was one scene in this episode where just in the background there was a lady who was just like watching them the whole time they were having like the argument. And I was like, oh, it was her turn. It was her turn today. Now she has to go around and go, just so everyone knows, they've all had a bit of a falling out. So yeah. We go from the Bobby memorial naming situation, which, very important to note, Athena is not at.
Right.
She texted Karen and Hen in the morning and said, I'm not going. And so we cut then to Athena, who is on a date. And I was...
For how long? How many seconds did you actually believe she was on that date?
Like half a second.
Right, because then you're like, oh no, she's undercover. Obviously, she's undercover. Like it makes so much more sense for her to throw herself into her work than it is for her to go out there and find another guy to replace Bobby. She's not trying to do that. But yeah, it was like, I'm sure it was for that split second of like the whole audience going, what? Oh,
yeah. It was just that enough of her like that thing in your heart, and then like Hen smacking that guy on the chest. It was just a reset for all of us. Like, oh my, it's fine.
Yeah. Although I have to say, okay, so she's on this date with this guy and she excuses herself. She spills a drink, excuses herself or whatever. She takes his phone and then takes it to the freezer where there's two cops freezing their asses off listening to the conversation, and then do this thing where they transfer the phone. But I mean, to me, I'm like, that as soon as she leaves, that guy's going to want to check his phone. That's what you do in that situation. When someone leaves the table, you're going to have nothing to do but look at your phone. So I think he would have noticed his phone missing right away, just to kind of call it a little. Not that this show is great for its...
All I would say is they're a different generation to us.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I guess fair.
Lately not. Is admitting that they had they almost had a full-on freak out when it showed them that Athena was on a date. My favourite thing about that entire situation was the fact that they were in the fridge. Like, this is the most unserious show. Why are they in the fridge? All of these things, whenever you see that, they all have like a van outside. Do you know what I mean?
Or each a different part of the kitchen that's warmer.
They're in a freezer with a laptop. It's ridiculous.
And they're really, like, he made point of showing them going, like they're clearly very cold and freezing. So there's I don't know, that's just for fun.
There was some top-notch cold acting going on in that moment. Yeah. And then of course it's all ruined by the FBI, uh, who come in and blow her cover. And I thought it was brilliant that he said, he called her Athena. He said Athena Grant, the FBI man, and she stood up and she went, "No way! 5 weeks of work, 5 weeks of 2 a.m. you up texts, learning how to flirt again. You are gonna call me Sergeant." And I was like, "Oh, you have been learning to flirt again." She is a strong, independent woman, and you will give her proper title. I thought that was great. And then later she gets a basket of muffins from them and she calls him the damn muffin man, which I thought was fantastic. But yeah, this was an episode of jump scares. We had the jump scare of like, is Athena on a date? Then we had the jump scare of the whale. And then we had the cheese jump scare. So it was quite good for like, oh yes, then it cuts to the billionaire office. And the woman, the PR crisis management lady, is walking through some protesters who are somehow inside the building. Like, that's not very good. But she calls up and she's like, "It's getting crazy down here. There are 20 people with signs."
Yeah. I also thought that was a pretty lackluster protest overall. Even the chanting wasn't great. Like, hell no, we won't. Like, wasn't fully.
It was ho ho, billionaires have got to go, or something like that. And I'm like, and it reminded me. I made a video about it ages ago when I was watching SWAT. There was a point where like there was a protest at the SWAT building, and they were like, "Oh no, it's nasty." And I'm like, "Okay, first of all, you're SWAT. You should be able to deal with this kind of situation. Second of all, there are 30 people with signs chanting."
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, this is just such a great example of how police never de-escalate. They can't handle a person with a sign. Like, get over yourselves. What, are you going to get a paper cut? Deal with it. Some hurt feelings. Sorry, move on.
Yeah, but that was it was an interesting way to get into that conversation because she's like on the phone, and then she gets something. She's like, "What?" and whatever. She like yells at him as soon as she gets into the room, and then it kind of transfers to the room conversation when he's in there with all the bean counters, as the tech billionaire calls him.
God, he is the worst. And I do, again, we got this little bit of like stupid line. He's always paddled his own canoe, and then we cut to him kayaking. Right? It's not canoe. But still, you're just like, oh my god, it's so on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he is phoning in from his phone, his wristwatch, with a camera, so he can like be, "Well, you organised this very important meeting for my canoe time." You're like, dude, just do your job. Just come into the office and do your fucking job.
Yeah, it's weird because throughout this kid, and I don't remember the name of this actor who plays him. He's fairly well known, I think. He was like that guy for me in this, but I don't remember his actual name.
I don't know him at all, but I knew.
Okay, I've seen him in stuff before. He's kind of like a mid-level, like a lower level Mark Wahlberg type of guy, and he's just Anthony something or other. Anyway, I think they're making him out. Yeah, he's a tech billionaire asshole, but we're supposed to kind of still feel for him somehow. I think, I don't know. It's this weird thing where he's not quite as bad as they could have done. They could have gotten a lot worse, I think, with the billionaire.
I mean, they could have got a lot worse, but I don't feel for him at all. There is one redeeming feature for Trip Hauser that we discover in episode 2, which is that he has an age-appropriate fiance.
Yes, that's good.
And I was like, give that man a medal.
He's the only billionaire with the wife that's age. It was Beyonce's age, right?
He is not marrying a 20-year-old who has already had $4,000 worth of plastic surgery. That is an age-appropriate fiance. Unbelievable. Well done, everybody. But no, I don't care for him at all. Not one iota. He should have died in the whale. But
Oh.
So he's inside a whale, and of course Maddie gets the call, and of course Maddie is talking to a guy inside a whale, and of course Sue goes, well, it must be a humpback because of the area that it's in, and of course Maddie brings up Wikipedia. Good news is it's a humpback, and therefore you've not actually been swallowed, you're just hanging around in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all kind of figured that out. I mean, that was nice to have the information. Maddie did some really interesting calls. You got to call space too, like just pretty, like they were really, that was my first thought when we started this whole thing in space. I'm like, how are they going to call 911 from space? I think someone actually said that at some point. How did they call 911 from space?
Yeah, Trip Hauser had the line. Wait, they called 911? Of course they called 911. How did they call 911? And she was like, no, we're calling them. And then we cut into the fire truck, which I think internally looks a lot bigger. Because we used to have it that Eddie and Buck used to sit like with their legs like a jigsaw puzzle. You know, it was tightly packed, and now there seemed to be room between Eddie and Buck and Hen, and I was like, "What is this? Is this COVID filming again? Like, what happened?"
Well, then a part later on, seems like they put a patient there. The guy who gets hit in the, no, it's the guy who gets in the head or somebody else. They put somebody there, but on the floor with them, and it's they can still sit there with that person on the floor, which is really weird. They don't usually put people on there. I didn't think.
I don't know why they didn't have the ambulance with them. I don't know. Because when they got called out, this is again episode 2, when they got called out to just sort of do their drive around, whether they sent each, like the ladder truck went one way and the engine went another, and then the ambulances went somewhere else. I don't know whether that's how they did it, because it struck me as very odd that they didn't have an ambulance with them. But yeah, and so then we get more jealous Buck, because he finds out that Eddie and Hen went to IMAX without him.
That was, you guys went to IMAX together? That was the other line I wrote down. I love that line. That's friendship. When you go to IMAX together, that's friendship for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we always talk about in the fandom, and I don't know if it's like something that came up a while ago. It came up with, do you remember when he got all the boils on his face? And he was desperately looking into the Billy Boyles. Buck is our Wikipedia guy. He's on a deep dive. He has all of the facts. He knows all the facts about the animals because he goes to the zoo all the time with Chris. He's our little facts guy. So for them to go to IMAX to see a documentary about whales without him is devastating. That is such a Buck thing. And Eddie getting all blushy and soft heart eyes about the fact that it was like narrated by Ewan McGregor.
It is like, what does Ewan McGregor say we need to do about this? That was a great line too. Lots of great lines in this first episode. It was a great first episode overall. So then they turn up, and we get so they get to fix it through sort of MacGyvering. Is that like, that's, just putting stuff together? And is that named after the show? Because I've never seen an episode of MacGyver. Does he like do that? Yes, that's exactly what he does every episode, is make gadgets and things out of, you would probably like it actually. He just, anything around him, this coffee cup, this pen, he could turn this into a bomb that then would blow up something, and then he would rescue people. That's what MacGyver does. And that has become a verb now that we can say. Okay. MacGyver, that they MacGyver the like we said, the siren underwater to get the whale to blow the guy out.
Yep. And he gets the inspiration from where, Dan?
Oh, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Yes, that was a great. I love that. I went, woo, yes, Star Trek 4. I
thought of you the minute he said it.
Great. Yeah, it's a great reference. I really liked. I mean, that's what Jimmy does well, are the movie references. So
yeah, he's our resident film buff. And so he like MacGyver's together this way of communicating. Well, forcing the whale up. Because what I thought was funny, where they went, well, the next time the whale breaches, it'll spit him out. Well, it just breached and it didn't, so I don't even know why you're assuming that in the first place. Because it's just done that, and he's still in there, so...
Did it breach with him in there? I don't remember that part.
Okay. And, yes, so they put through the water, the sirens, through the hose with the water, into the water, and the whale goes, ah! God, I'm getting off here. And he comes up and he spits the guy out.
So, by the way, they come from a lot of. You don't think the whale could deal having something in its mouth? It probably happens all the time, right? Where it accidentally swallows things. It doesn't eat anything but krill, but it probably, when it opens its mouth, gets tons of stuff in there. So it's got to like spit it out.
Yeah, he's like pretty big, and krill are like pretty small. And the whales probably do get a lot of junk in their mouth, including tech billionaires. And yeah. So he like spits him out. I thought he was gonna like come out through the air hole, like woof. That would like Finding Nemo. That would have been brilliant. But he spits him out, and they go, "Oh look, he's in the water. There he is." And Eddie just jumps off the bridge. That is a death jump. That is a long way down.
Yeah. And I also noticed they didn't show us how he got him back. He was out there, he's in the water, he got him, and then cut to, he's laying him down somewhere. Like, did they move the truck somewhere closer? The trucks come down off the bridge to the edge of the, like, I don't know, he's just laying him down, and then they're performing CPR on the guy. They saved his life. Once he got him over that.
Why show the difficult bit, Dan? Because him dragging him in him dragging him from the water isn't as exciting as him jumping off a bridge.
No, that's not.
And I loved he was like, Chimney was like, I didn't tell him to do that. And Buck was like, I wanted to do that. And you're like, yeah, of course you did, idiot. And I feel like Eddie has been much more, like he's been lighter this season. And I know, like, last season was very heavy for Eddie in the 20 minutes of screen time that he got. But like he has carried a lot of weight on his shoulders kind of since we've met him, and I really feel like something's happened in this 6 months. It's just sort of, he can breathe now.
Maybe it was the standing up to his parents thing, right? Maybe it was the taking Chris back to LA to raise on his own. There's one great line at some point. Go ahead.
No, would you finish?
I was gonna say at the point where in the second episode when they come that car that's spinning and they're like, oh, it's a self-driving car. It's like Uber driver's worst nightmare. I'm like, that's a callback to when he was in Texas last season. He was an Uber driver for a while, and they got those self-driving cars are killing that business. I guess I don't know. We don't have them here.
Which, to be fair, for 911 is a pretty good callback, because sometimes they forget an awful lot of stuff that's happened. So it's nice to know that they were paying attention last season. But maybe he's taken up ballroom dancing again. They had all his trophies. Like, he just seems better. He's jumping off bridges. I don't like that, but he just seems lighter. I'm here for that.
We'll find out after. Yeah, after this current crisis passes, I'm sure we'll dive into an Eddie episode and we'll get to know what's going on with him.
We are, because there is an episode 5, I think. Yes. Episode 5 is called Dia de los Muertos. So, hey, Auntie's here. Late. Doesn't matter, Auntie, we're just glad to have you. So then we get, so they've gotten out of the water, and everyone's filming it, and you hear someone go, "Oh, TikTok's gonna love this," which it would if if Jeff Bezos spat out by a whale and currently dead. Yeah, TikTok would love that. And then he comes round and he spits up all the krill, and he says, "You saved me from that fish." And Hen just goes, "It's a mammal, sir," because she went to the documentary at the IMAX. She's never going to let Buck forget it.
No.
Then we get a nice little scene with Athena and Elaine, her boss, with the damn Muffin Man. And Elaine's just like, look, you've been on 4 undercovers in the last 6 months. Maybe you should just go back to doing your normal job and stop avoiding what you're not dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems like good. And then we got one of those, and I think you personally are a big fan of these, the newscaster bits.
Yeah, as soon as that guy pops up, I'm like, oh, not this guy again. Like, seriously. And he was in episode 2 too. He came up in episode 2 as well. And I'm like, oh god, this guy is my favorite. Yeah, he's here to tell us what's gonna happen next, I guess. And it, like, in just very old school breaking news style. Like, I don't know. I guess they do still do this in some places, but it's very old cool to have this old anchor doing this kind of thing behind a news desk. You know, you'd rather have like the reporter there on scene or something. Man,
Also,
what was he reporting on again?
sorry?
What was he reporting? Was he reporting on the whale incident? Was that what it was?
Yes.
His nails.
They had. Did they have some of the footage or something? But the thing that one of the things he was talking about was the share prices were still going down. They'd gone down by like 14%. It said on the graphic, and he said something about it'll be the shareholders left high and dry, and I was like, oh no, won't somebody think of the shareholders? Like, still not winning me over there. But also, this has been like a new thing. I think it only happened for the first time last season with the Beanado. Like, we haven't. This isn't the breaking news guy.
Oh, it hasn't been a thing going.
Not that I remember. It just seems like a weird little narrative thing that they've stuck in there, and I don't know when it started. I'm not a big fan of it either. He like just comes in and tells a little joke, and then we move on. And I'm like, there are enough jokes in the show. It's fine. We've got Chimney. That's what Chimney's for. Shut up.
I think someone on the writing staff really likes his character and keeps bringing him back, and that's just what it is. Or it's like their uncle or something. They want to give him some work. That's what Dean every once in a while. I don't know.
He needs to have. Don't you need to have a certain amount of work to keep up your health insurance when you're in SAG? Maybe he's just like,
Yeah.
please.
Give me a theme, please. You need to maintain.
I need like 4 lines to keep up my health insurance payments, and they're like, "Don't worry, we've got you." Just put him in for a couple of lines. Oh yeah, and then we get the reveal that Harry, who was not happy with Athena not being at Bobby's firehouse dedication, he's dropped out of school.
Are you working at Starbucks, I guess, or some coffee shop?
Yeah,
that's awkward. Awkward.
But
his mom walks in and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I got a job."
And you can tell that she thinks, okay, a part-time job after school. That makes this is school time. What are you in school? You could see it like suddenly dawning on her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and it's not Starbucks, but it obviously is because they've gone with the dark green. So the minute you see it, yeah, oh, it's Starbucks. But it's not. So yeah, okay, Harry. So you're not even going to get your high school diploma? That just
I don't. No, but I don't blame. Like, I think that's more about Athena being absent than anything else. It's like nobody was around to help him make this decision because she's been so checked out and throwing herself into work. She hasn't cared about her own kids. I was like, at some point through that, there was a conversation during the dedication ceremony, and they're like, "Oh, so you're both seniors now." I didn't clue in to them. I for some reason thought they were both seniors in college because that kid does not look like he's in high school. I'm sorry, he looks like he's mid-20s. But no, he's a high school senior, and then the daughter is a college senior. I think we'll work this guess on that, right? And she's been letting him stay at her place. Like, he's not even living with his mom anymore. He's living with his sister, who's got a very nice place for a college student. I have to say, I don't know if you noticed her apartment. It was very, very nice. And
no, that's not hers.
Oh,
that when we see them, all 3 of them together, that's Athena's apartment.
No, I think there was a scene where it was just the 2 of them talking, the sister and brother talking in their apartment, wasn't it?
No, that was at the coffee shop.
Okay. All right. Never
I
mind.
think the only time we saw them together was in Athena's new apartment that we'd seen her come in with the big fireplace.
Yeah, that's right. The fireplace was the what maybe like, oh, this is the college kids' apartment. Come on.
Yeah, no, that's
But
that's
we could do
Athena's
this.
place
Okay.
that we see her walk into, and the boxes are still there. It's been 6 months or however long it's been since she sold the house, and she's not really unpacked, and it's very just echoey and lonely. Um, his reason for staying with May was that he that she's in his school district. I think he was like, I didn't want to change schools.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that.
but yeah,
He says he's not.
sorry.
Anthony says the actor's 19 years old, so I'm wrong.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's just one of my three pet peeves. I just hate when they have like middle-aged 20 somethings playing teenagers. I mean, they've been doing it forever. It's like a 90210 thing. They've been doing it so long, but it's just one of my pet peeves. Get teenagers to play teenagers.
What I find funny these days is like I remember watching the first episode. I think it was the first episode of Dawson's Creek, and there was a point where Joshua Jackson, as Pacey, was shouted at someone, "I'm 16 years old," or "I'm 15 years old," and I was like, "You're 21 if you're a day," and I turned it off and I never watched it again. But these days, I'm 44 now. I look at these people and go, "Yeah, that could be a high school student. I don't know."
See, I teach at college level, so my students are all in their mid-20s, and this guy looks like one of my students. He doesn't look like my kids are teenagers. He does not look like one of my kids, right? So that's not what I was thinking about. But anyway, and he's becoming more of a character now, right? He has some more time in the next episode too. Like he's becoming, they've given him a bigger part.
Yeah, he and May have both become regulars this season.
Okay.
And what I did notice was that Gavin, who plays Christopher, is now not a regular. Whereas he was last season. He was barely in it. Like last season was like the first season he was a regular, and he was never there. So
yeah.
But no, yes. So Harry and May are now fully flown regulars.
Cool.
So that's really exciting. So we're looking forward to, getting to know them better. Then we go to the silly. We get not that the whale wasn't silly, but we get the silly one, emergency, which is the school bus. And that poor guy driving that school bus with all this. I mean, I never went on a school bus, so I never had that experience with, like, screaming kids and stuff, But these days, also, kids have phones. I can't imagine being a 10-year. One of them's like, he's like, blah blah blah, and he goes, "Well, put that phone away. Stop doing that." And the boy goes, "Well, tell him to stop sexting my girlfriend." And he's like, "You're 10." And I was just horrified. I was just horrified. And I know you have kids, and I can't imagine how terrifying it is.
I appreciate that every time they cut to one of these scenes where we like need just to set up the situation very quickly, but I appreciate that they give us a little bit of like character to these things. Because he says, oh, you're 10, and the kid's like, I got more game than you'll ever have, or whatever. Your kids come back and what's up. So funny. It's just love it. This guy's like, oh, these kids. And then they make him like, he takes a swig of his water bottle, and we're, I guess, meant to think that he's got alcohol in there. I never thought there was alcohol in there. Because a minute turns around, and I didn't think of it as a silly emergency because all these kids are passed out. I'm like, oh fuck, they're dead because it's poison or something. Like I didn't think they'd actually kill them, but I was like, these kids are going to be in serious medical trauma soon because something's wrong. And then he gets all woozy, and I think he's drunk because of the symptoms that make him act drunk. But it's not like I assumed it was carbon monoxide poisoning. He probably did too. That seems like the obvious thing, but it was something else, right? It was a different. We talked about de-energizing what was it, electric bus? Is that what it was? Something about the. I don't know.
Yes, no, but it was the like the window washer or
Fluid. Got fluid leaking.
Yeah,
air conditioning.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It smelled like waffles. Antifreeze, thanks for saying. It's antifreeze. And so the engine had overheated, and that had broken the tube for the antifreeze, and it had got into the system and then coming through the air conditioning. So yeah, the kids all reacted quicker. And I think this came up last season where I was like, so there's a fire and there's smoke in the room, but the kid is able to call 911, but the adult is passed out. That just seems the wrong way around. Like, he's got smaller lungs. And so it hit the kids harder. I only say it's the silly emergency because of how it ended. Obviously, the beginning of it, not silly. But also, why didn't he just stop the bus?
Exactly. Yes, I'm thinking, hit the brake. He's just trying to steer someone. I don't know what he's trying to do. Hit the brake, move your foot. It's very simple, much simpler than what you're trying to do. And I don't know, but then he wouldn't be swerving.
He got off the interstate. Well done. Now hit the brake. And it's not even like he crashes into something to stop. He hits the brake. Just do that earlier. It was really, that is one of my pet peeves whenever I see that kind of moment. I'm just like, well, just, if you're not feeling right, stop the car. Stop the vehicle. Yeah. And then, so when they've discovered what's wrong with because they think the bus is empty, and he's like, no, the bus isn't empty. And I think when he gets off the bus, he calls Athena Ossifer.
Yeah.
Which I only picked up on my second watch. But rather than officer, he calls it Ossifer, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And Hen and Eddie do their mind melding, talking to one another without talking thing, and which obviously Buck is going to be fuming about. And Chimney's like, hey, do you want to maybe translate some of that into words? And they go, well, ethanol blocks the whatever, and what's another word for ethanol? And then we get that brilliant, my favourite line. It was my Chimney line of the day, of him just piling bottles of alcohol on the shop. And the guy looking at him and him going, oh no, it's not for us, it's for the kids.
Yeah, and then they come in. You're right. They end it on a kind of comic note when they all wheel these kids in one at a time. And this kid's had 2 shots of vodka. This kid's had 3 shots of whiskey, and they like whip a shot.
40 cc's of Jamaican rum.
And the kids are like, hey, these sisters are acting all drunk and stuff. I think it's from the beginning. So yeah, that was funny.
The nurse is like, with her clipboard, like, this is not. Yeah. I don't think. And they because Chim says, I'm so going to get fired for this. And then immediately as they turn up to the hospital, Hen gets the phone call from Chief Simpson. And he's like, oh, does he want to see me? And she's like, no, he wants to see me. And even then, because I knew it was going to be a Trip Hauser thing, I didn't understand why they were so worried, or why Chim would have thought it would have been him. But they were worried about the alcohol thing. And I'd already forgotten.
Oh, yeah. No, I immediately thought, oh, that was quick. The chief is so talking about the alcohol thing. I thought that was immediately what it was. But no, it's Trip Hauser.
Yeah.
Hauser wants to offer her a trip to space. That's how we get Hen to space.
And he is absolutely open with why he is doing it. He's like, I'm going to give you $5 million so that you can, to the fire service.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to send you to space. You make me look good, and everyone's happy. Like, he's completely open about it. He doesn't try and lie about it at all. My favourite moment of that is that he goes, oh, this is the woman. He knows her name. He knows his name, Myron or whatever his name is. And then he goes, and this is my social media kid. I know his name. And the other guy goes, Jensen. And he goes, okay, that doesn't sound right.
He's a great character.
Yeah, I was like, he's given Jensen a new name every day.
I like the part where he's like rewinding the video and going, see, dead, not dead. Dead, not dead. He's just showing, and you saved my life. I was dead here. Now I'm not dead. He just loves it all. I don't remember that part. I was dead. I hate this part. She's like, Eddie dumped into the water. I was like, don't remember that. So
and also the dead, not dead was a nice little foreshadowing for what happened with Gina, where she was dead. No, she was very much not dead.
Yeah. That's true.
So we got that. We got the scene with Hen telling Karen, who has always wanted to go to space.
Yeah.
She's like, I got him to give me a +1. Baby, you're coming to space. And Karen's all excited. And then she's like, oh, shit. No, I can't go. And she doesn't get to go because her company and his company are suing each other.
Well, and this is funny because it made me think of, like, if this was me, I would be so excited to go to space. That's one thing I would absolutely love to do, is go to space. But my girlfriend does not want to go to space. And so if this was the situation, you would not want to go to space? If this, I said, look, yeah, that's what I was saying. I was telling my girlfriend about this, and I'm like, so if I got this, if a billionaire offered me this free trip to space and gave me a +1, would you want to go with me? She's like, no way. No way in hell I would go. All right, there you go. I thought that's what was going to be the reason. I thought it was going to be like, I don't want to go to, I'm an astrophysicist, but I don't want to go to space. Like, I don't know the character, obviously, but
No, she's always wanted to go to space.
that makes it even more tragic when she decides not to. And there's good reasons why she decides not to. Her company is suing his company is suing her company, all kinds of things. She doesn't like, she just wants, it doesn't look good for her to go to space on this ship.
Yeah, and also she needs to be here so that she can fix everything. So
Right. Yeah, so you have foot on the ground. We'll need an expert on the, otherwise those guys would have been screwed. Oh, she gave up and becoming an actor. Okay.
yeah, and of course, reminder: Denny is not biologically either Hen or Karen's. So
Right.
you know, so she like she's all in on this family, Karen. That it's so important to her. And I loved in the second episode where she was talking and they said, you know, she was like, Hen's going to get to look down and see the whole world, but all I have to do is look up because my whole world is up there. I was like, oh my God, that's so adorable. I love it. So we get poor Karen, and then we get the scene in Athena's apartment with all of the grants. And and May didn't know that Harry had dropped out. And I can understand Athena being like, he was living in your house. How did you not know? So, but Harry says, you haven't been our mother since Bobby died. And obviously she's been throwing herself into work. And it comes up later. She has a conversation with Hen. And Hen says to her, you get to take whatever time you need to grieve. And I'm all for that. That is so true. She should get help. She should talk to people. She should grieve. But she's a mother with responsibilities. And unfortunately, as hard as it is, and I say this as a not a parent who's ever going to go through anything like this, but her responsibilities don't just disappear to her kids, you know. It's hard for everyone, and it's really hard for her. I get that, but unfortunately, she doesn't get to check out of being a parent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, kind of on Harry's side of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where he's at too. Obviously, he's having trouble in school and not enjoying it, and that's completely understandable. It's not for everybody. But he also doesn't have a mother to talk it over with, right? And that's the problem here. So he's just been left to his own devices. And obviously his sister, he doesn't feel comfortable talking to his sister about it. Or maybe, no, he says, like, you would have tried to talk me out of it, which is probably true.
So. Well, and then she says, no, I'd have just told you a different way to get her attention. Because she thinks that, which might be the case, you've not been our mother since Bobby died. What is a way I can get you? You know, I'm going to piss my parents off so that they check back into the reality that we all live in. You know, I can understand why he would be driven to do that.
If he didn't want her to know, he wouldn't have gotten a job at a coffee shop that she goes to. So,
yeah.
Right?
And then we get a very silly scene in which Eddie dresses up as an alien. Eddie and Buck argue about the fact that it was Buck's idea. So Buck's like, it was my idea. And he's like, I didn't say it wasn't. And he's like, you didn't say it was. And I'm like, oh my God, just kiss and make up. Jesus, come on. And then Ravi gets called Ravioli. And I was like, he's going to come in and he's going to start killing people. Like, he's not here for this nonsense. Poor Ravi. Just every week I think this. And what I loved about the end of that is that the alarms go off because they all discovered that, Karen's not going. So they're like, ooh, so maybe you'll have to take one of us. Like, she doesn't have any other options.
Yeah.
And then the alarms go off and you see Eddie queuing to get in the rig and he's still got his alien hands on and his alien head under his arm. Like, he's just going to take them with him. Doesn't need his turnouts, but he's got his alien gear.
That's a bit elaborate, a bit of an elaborate prank to pull. The head was pretty, like, that must have taken time to make that head.
Yeah, I don't know if they were able to just, it's LA. I don't know whether they've got lots of like good costume shops,
Maybe. Yeah.
or whether like that was a papier-mâché job that that they pulled together on their lunch break.
But I was seeing, so throughout the whole thing, and they're all jockeying for like, oh, I did this, and they want her to bring them to space, right? Obviously, everyone wants to go, and I was secretly hoping that it would be Chimney, because Chimney at first wasn't really acting like that, but then it was towards the end of this episode, where they're kind of doing this and bringing her coffee and stuff, and cleaning up the back of the ambulance and organizing it or whatever. And then Chimney shows up and starts like what he gave her. Oh, he Employee of the Month award or something like that, right? He gives her like
$50 gift card.
Yay! Like
I know Chief House has just given the department $5 million, but you can't start handing out money like that, Jim.
Yeah, and so I think go ahead.
No, carry on.
I was just gonna say that the minute he asks, he's not going, right? And I was like, oh, so Chimney's not gonna go. So who's she gonna take to space with her? And then it didn't click until we cut to Athena. I'm like, oh, of course, Athena needs to go to space. Like, this is just something, and it did make sense. Like, I forgot about all the disasters that Athena had in traveling before until they brought it up. But I thought, like, this is the kind of experience she needs at this point, something like a life-changing experience like this that can kind of reset her, much like, again, resetting the heart. That seems to be a theme throughout these things, is resetting your life pretty much after you losing somebody. So what you do.
And I think that in the earlier seasons, the Hen and Athena were like, they're really good friends. I know, like, Chim is Hen's best friend, but Athena is a close second, I've always considered. So it seemed to me that if she wasn't going to take Chim, she was going to take Athena, But also Athena really needs to get back to her kids and maybe shouldn't be floating around the space in a bubble.
Maybe also have been moved too. I agree.
Then we move on to the Gina scene, which I was not a fan of.
Me neither.
And not just because, not in a like, oh, it was gross and I didn't like it. Like, I was like, really? Are we going to spend 4 minutes of this listening to this insipid take on this song and, like, just see this random woman's life just so that Athena can learn a fucking lesson? I hate the lesson. I hate a lesson emergency. They bore me to my core. When you can
Really, emergencies are much better.
Sorry?
Really, emergencies are much better than lesson emergencies.
Absolutely. 100%. Give the alcohol to the kids and let us learn lessons other ways. Do you know what I mean? So, and also, like, the whole, when she goes to visit her in hospital, and she's like, oh, the doctor's like, oh, they always, people do much better if they have company or they know someone cares. And I'm like, yeah, and some people just don't have anyone. Because that's life. And I know you're just saying that so that Athena remembers that she does have people and she should reconnect with them. Specifically her fucking kids. Oh, Ante's saying that she loved the Gina scene. So yeah, like, it's completely subjective. It's just as soon as it happened, I was like, as soon as we went into that flashback, I was like, oh, this is to teach Athena something. And it always feels.
But how is she supposed to be seeing this? This is my thing. Like, I get that they want to tell us this person's life story, right? In flashbacks or whatever. But Athena, like, she picks up a picture, she looks and sees a picture of her and this guy. How is she supposed to get all of this stuff from, like, these details, right? Like, I don't think it's realistic for Athena to understand who this person is and what she's been through in the few minutes that she spends waiting for the paramedics to arrive, right?
You do not respect what a brilliant police officer Athena is.
Oh, she's just as good at producing this stuff. She's a good investigator. You can tell that this woman lost a baby. She lost, like, what the story is, that this woman she's falling in love, gets married, gets pregnant. but they lose the baby. They come back from the hospital. They don't have like the thing's empty, so they're clearly not being able to have a baby. Then she just kind of shuts down, and then her husband leaves. We see him leaving with a box, and then she just she's by herself. And this is basically meant to show like what happens when you shut everybody out. We don't know that she had anybody else trying to connect with her. They didn't have time to tell us that in the 4 minutes. Yeah, I just was like, I understand what they're trying to do, but it was just a weird forced way to do it. Like it just felt really weird in the middle of all this.
Yeah. So yeah, but and that was like dead, not dead. I did enjoy that.
Okay.
And in the argument, the important thing is that Eddie, the next scene where they're all trying to bribe Hen, Eddie says to Chim, "You're just a temp," which Chippy can't really get upset about because he's the one who keeps bringing it up. But he, yeah. So then we get, what have I written? Poor Chim. Oh yeah, he goes around and visits Eddie.
Yeah.
Apologize. And I liked that Eddie was like, "Don't you think that maybe these beers and this apology should go to Hen?" And Chimmy's like, "Yeah, I tried to call her, she sent me to voicemail." Like Eddie's going, "Yeah, me too." So she's they forgot her birthday, and now
look at that. Her 80th birthday.
And now they're treating her forced trip to space as some kind of, fun little ride along situation. And, all she wants to do is take her bloody wife. And so they talk about missing Bobby. Then we cut to Buck missing Bobby. And I was like, who is he talking to? And the reveal of the roundest baby to ever baby. He is...
Very cute.
Oh my god, he's so squishable. So, Bobby Nashhan is Evan Buckley's new therapist, which is fine, except for the fact that Maddie's obviously listening to all of it.
She's talking to him through the monitor. That was pretty cute. And he shows up. He's like, "Okay, I'll go now."
Like, please go home. My son needs to sleep. Or wherever. We don't know where Buck's living at the moment, because of course he was living at Eddie's. And we get Hen and Athena. Blah, 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 blah. You need time to grieve, yeah, but you've got kids. You've got to remember them. And she's like, "I have learned my lesson. The next invitation I get, I'm going to say yes." And Hen's like, And then we see Athena like blasting off into space.
Yeah, and that was the whole second episode was about them going to space, and that was, I have to say, I like the whole thing. I guess it's like every season starts with a 3-parter, so we're gonna have a 3rd part next week to this arc. But like, I really enjoyed this first episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was like just everything. I love underwater stuff. I love whales, doing my favorite animal. I love space stuff. It had everything. It had everything I love, and I really enjoyed it.
Have you seen a documentary about whales that was narrated by your favorite celebrity boyfriend, Ewan McGregor?
Yeah, he's my favorite celebrity. I like the ones that are narrated by, what's his name, the old British dude. Oh, you know who I'm talking about. The guys that everyone heard about.
David Attenborough.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that guy. He's got a nice voice. I'm sure Ian McGregor. No, I did see one. I saw a deep sea documentary in IMAX. This is years ago, but it was narrated by Johnny Depp. Not.
That I would not be into that. I'm
free of the marital problems. This is like back when he was doing Pirates of the Caribbean.
All right, okay. So yeah, I haven't seen the documentary, but I am a big fan of the one, the fact that there's that documentary that Benedict Cumberbatch did about penguins, and he can't say the word penguin. Every time he says it, it comes out different, and it's so funny. They did a bit on Graham Norton, and he's like pingling, pingwing, like. Just, oh my god! Did they not check that you could say the word penguin? So that's really funny. Yeah. Now we are now at the end of our normal time, so I don't know if you want to keep talking, and we can
go for a little longer. Let's move through this second episode quicker. Let's see if we can wrap up in the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. To be fair, I had a lot less notes, a lot fewer notes about the second episode, because it seemed like the first episode there was so much happened, whereas the second episode sort of breathed. There was more breathing in it. Things took longer to happen. What I would say is, if they are showing to the general public any of those clips that we saw of Athena before she went into space, I would hate her.
Yeah.
She came across so unbelievably badly. She obviously didn't want to go. She was just like eye-rolling at everything and like just sneering at everything. And I was just like, if I was, I'd be way more upset about her going in than Trisha, because Trisha was like excited about it.
I thought the point of it that I don't think we were supposed to be happy about any of them going to space. I really felt like honestly, Hen doesn't really seem like she wants to. Well, Hen would rather be going with her wife. So Hen is just going to make the billionaire happy. Athena's just going to make Hen happy. That kid is pretty like excited about it, which is fine. He just thinks it's all dope, and that's fine. He's young. And then, what's that?
Dude is excited. The older dude.
And then the old guy, I love the old guy. He's hilarious because he has all these like, damn Nixon and all these like bitter things. He's just this bitter old man, never got to go to space, but now he's getting to go to space. But he's still kind of not the most likable character. So we're all kind of meant to like, these other characters are all meant to be a little bit unlikable. And yes, Athena comes off very unlikable in that video because she just seems like, oh, I don't even want to go. So I'll hear you here. Why? There should be a chance. So many people would want to do this, and you're not very excited about it.
That's the thing. Like the whole thing about sending like celebrities into space or rich people into space or whatever is ridiculous. But then for you to go, oh, we're sending 5 everyday heroes. Okay, so the tech bro is not an everyday hero. The guy is, because he works in a school, and like teachers are important, and he's a football coach, and his kids maybe love him. They looked excited to be on TV, but I have no idea how they feel about him. Hen, everyday hero. Athena, cop. Put her in the bin. And Trisha, my favorite thing about Trisha was the fact that when they showed all of the people, like, here's their friends and family waving at the camera, waiting for the launch, her people were her yoga class. I adored that. Like, you've got the guys in the, the football guys, and you've got the tech bro guys, and you've got everyone at the firehouse. They did have a separate one for Athena. They just had the guys at the firehouse, and then the yoga people. And I was like, oh, she found her tribe. Oh, good for her.
I mean, it's a very funny kind of parody of society and of where we're at. And like, this kind of thing just happened however long ago when they sent Katy Perry to space, and they made a joke about it in this episode. But this is what I like about the show, is it really doesn't reflect the things that happen. And even as crazy as all this stuff is, it is all based in reality, because we live in a crazy world that all this kind of shit all really happens, right?
Yeah. The brilliant reference to Katy Perry was Harry saying, oh, she's pretended to be an astronaut like Neil Armstrong or Katy Perry. I'm like, oh, do not put those two names together. Ah, my ears are bleeding.
Okay, funny.
But he's a kid. Why would he know that there was any difference between Neil Armstrong and Kate? They've both been to space.
I like the reference to Gilligan. Was there a line from Chimney about Gilligan and the 3-hour tour? And then some kids like, who's Gilligan?
Yeah, but it ties, because first of all, Denny's like, oh, he did something in we stopped going to the moon in the 70s. And Hen's like, okay, can we not make the 70s sound like it's the Middle Ages? And Chimney is piggybacking on that, like, lines later. And I love Chimney so much. He's so funny that when Mara's like, who's Gilligan? He's like, oh, he's some Greek mythic character. Like, we're old, Hen. We have to acknowledge that we're dead to these kids now. And yeah, and Ante has said that Harry's other line was cold, and I was going to say this. Yeah, absolutely. May says to Harry, she lost her husband, and he says, well, it's not the first time. You'd think she'd be used to it by now.
Ooh.
What a bitch.
Yeah. But the kind of thing you say hurt, right? That just makes sense. Like, he's hurt from this whole situation, so yeah, he's just hurt by it.
And he's a teenager,
and yeah, he's really struggling. And when you see his interview before they go into space, he is just miserable, and he's not you got to kind of appreciate that he's not faking it for anyone.
He's just going through his thing.
Trying to cover up for him during the interview. She's like, oh, but in a good way or something. I don't remember. She covered up. He was like being pretty crabby, and she turned it around.
Yeah.
Then we see Hen and Athena getting drunk in that bar, and my immediate thought was, I would not like to go to space with a hangover.
No, that seems like a very bad idea. Yeah. And in fact, I don't think they will let alcohol, like that would dehydrate you. That would make you your body would not be in good shape after that. So I don't think they would let you drink it before going to space. I don't think you'd be allowed to do that.
That is a very good technical point.
My thought was they told Trisha not to vomit in zero gravity, and they both have hangovers.
Oh yeah, that's right. And when they're spinning around, yes, that's fair enough. They're both hung over there. Yeah.
Can I point out a continuity error?
Yes, please. Yes. I was looking for them. I was looking. Maybe this is one that I missed that I thought I saw. But go ahead.
When they showed the fire fam on the TV, Sydney's pointing at the TV going, that's us. From when we see it, he's pointing with his left hand. On the TV, he's pointing with his right.
Okay.
Like, that's not a reverse image problem. That's a different hand. And obviously they've screened it on. Do you know what I mean? So they're not even looking at themselves. So he wouldn't look at it and go, oh, shit, it was my right hand. But it was his right hand. And then he's like, obviously it was his same shot.
I noticed when I was looking at, there's a scene in, I think we're almost there anyway, where they find out about the so-called space hurricane or space weather that is going to be a problem. I've never heard of this, by the way. I've been a space enthusiast my entire life, and I'd never heard of space weather being an issue. But hey, the space hurricane, why not? So then he gets Trip gets a warning from his guy. Kind of reminds me of
chance, 43.7% chance.
chance of this happening, which is pretty good odds for weather. Like if it was 40% chance of rain, I would not go outside because I would think there's a pretty good chance of rain, right? Like 43 is too high. Hey, he's like, no, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna go. The buffet is already out or something. He can joke about beers have already arrived. We can't cancel now, so they go forward with this. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Continuity.
Go ahead.
No, you were talking about...
Right. But during that scene, there's a clock in the background, and it just says 15 minutes. And at first I thought it was like 3 o'clock. I thought it was a clock that was like wrong, but I think it's just a countdown clock, and they were just getting ready to start the 15-minute countdown before that the ship took off. So that's all it was. I thought it was going to be continuity. I'm like, oh, there's no seconds ticking on that. I'm like, oh wait, it's just they haven't started it yet.
Oh, so you thought you spotted one and it wasn't that... I had devastated every time that happens. There was a second one in this episode. When the guy whose head should have been exploded by the shrapnel, but it wasn't, it just embedded itself in his forehead. I don't know. He is lying on the floor in the truck.
Right, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
In his shirt and his jacket, his suit jacket. And all the way through, he is in his suit jacket. And then as they arrive at the hospital... we see him on the floor and he's only in his shirt. The jacket has gone. And then they get him out and he's got his jacket back on.
Oh, no. Right.
I was like, oh, why did anyone even let you take it off? I don't care how hot you are. You keep that fucking jacket on until we finish this shot.
Or you take it off and leave it off, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I would be
I was
on a set. I would be the worst.
They need you, though. They clearly need you. I was curious about like how could that hit his head and him not be dead? There's just no way. If it was like a tiny little piece of meteor that would like kill him at the speed it's moving. But whatever. But then before that, go ahead.
Yeah. Carry on.
Before that, he's in the car. He was in the car going around the self-driving car. And I think it's interesting. Like, so what's happening in this weather is that all of what's the Trip satellites are crashing. He has like 6,000 satellites in orbit, and they're all being
Spacesuit Skyloop.
Whatever. Yeah, it's meant to be like the same kind of stuff that Elon Musk and what's his face do. And that's a lot of satellites, to be honest. I didn't realize that there was anything close to that many satellites in orbit around the planet. If there is, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. But then all the stuff starts going haywire on Earth, right? So all the satellite controlled stuff starts going crazy, like the car. So the car starts, so they figure out how to like paint lines with sand. That was Harry's line, Harry's idea when he goes along with them because he wants to kind of like mum.
It was Ravi's idea,
Oh.
and Buck was like, "Yeah, we paint it in and we trap it like a demon." and he was like, "Does anyone have any paint?" And Harry was like, he got off the truck and he was like, "You have sand." And so, you know, because obviously we're all kind of thinking that Harry's going to end up as the new Proby, like he's going to go to the Fire Academy, and this is going to be, you know, a way of a graft in the fire.
That absolutely fits. So he doesn't like high school, so he goes and gets his GED. He doesn't have to finish high school. He can just take his GED and get the equivalent. Then he can apply to be a firefighter, and yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
And so he's like proving his, like, he's able to think outside of the box and fix a problem, you know. And Chinley is not happy that he's there at all.
He didn't ask him where he wants the help, so I think he's okay by the end of the episode with him coming along, right? Because he does prove to be useful.
I was I'm just going through. Harry is so miserable. Oh, the seats on that spacecraft looked incredibly insecure. Like,
Yeah.
just one pole holding them in place. That seemed
based on a real thing. Like I saw the photos of that when they went into space. Katy Perry went into space, and I think it's very similar.
really.
The whole idea of them going to space, it's all remote control. There's no pilot. There's no expert on the ship with them. They're just going up and coming down. And that's what this was. I think that was meant to be like, this is how crazy they're doing this, guys. They're just sending people into space, and there's nothing they can do if something goes wrong. Because something goes wrong. Of course something goes wrong. This is 911. Nothing ever goes right.
Consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health. What, 911? I mean, it could drive you crazy, but I
wasn't sure if you saw that. That's so weird. Anyway, did we talk about something? Did we talk about drugs or something? I don't remember.
No,
Get rid of it.
I don't know. Yeah, Ravi Main Wen, Auntie. Yes, absolutely. I did love the filming of all the 0G stuff, because every now and again they were in 0G, and every now and again they were just standing on the floor.
Sometimes you just get to stand on the floor in 0G, right? Sometimes it just works out that way because they're floating everywhere. You just have me sit still on the floor for a minute.
Yeah.
I like the way Hank braced herself against the ceiling to give chest compressions to the guy. That was very inventive.
That was absolutely top notch.
She can save a life anywhere, even in space. She can save a life, and that was a really like intense moment. Yeah, so
I like when they were spinning, because I like those rides. You know, when you get stuck to the side, I love those. So that's the bit I would have enjoyed if you'd taken me to space. Now I'd be like, woo! But somebody else spotted a continuity error, or like just an error, which was that he had the coin to pop the thing open, but then he got slammed back against the wall, but the coin was still floating. But that's because it was in the middle.
I noticed that too. Yeah, that's right.
And so I was like,
the middle of the right? Because it's all about centrifugal force. And I thought for a minute, oh, he's going to get to the middle and he's going to be floating in the middle, and he's going to be able to do it because he's not going to have any force against him. He just basically pulls himself over the console and he's able to do it. And I love that. I thought of the IT crowd. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Like that's the mantra. That's what you do every single time something goes wrong. Have you tried turning it off and on again? And it will reboot and start working. That's what happens.
And I did. I think I said on someone, a regular person who turns up on my FYP, I said, I thought we weren't going to be able to top the line. You're a tech bro, so tech it, bro. But it was immediately followed by, I guess we could try and unplug it and plug it back in. And I was like, like, I really didn't. I didn't think you were going to go there, but you did. And then they did it again later. It was, the whole thing was basically just unplugging things and plugging it back in.
Yeah, but that's what IT support is these days, right? So,
yep.
Right.
And I did like when the older dude was like, you might want to put some controls in next time. You can't beat a good toggle. And it made me think about how, like, so many of us miss buttons tactile things that you can feel that you're pressing, especially in cars when you like, because my mum listens to the radio and I don't like having the radio on in the car. It overwhelms me. It's weird. But so when she drives off, the radio always comes on and she's always like, oh, I'll put it off. But she has to look over to find the right bit of screen to press.
Yeah.
Like, just give us a button. Nothing wrong with them. I liked that when they were saying we can plug it. He said I can unplug it and plug it back in, and Athena said, "Wait, you're telling me that we are stuck in $1 billion printer," which I thought was genius. And oh yeah, we had one of those moments where it was like, oh, you restarted the capsule, but Henry started your heart, and then he asked no further questions. It's like a 20-something-year-old guy who had a heart attack, and at no point did he go, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Karen is on Earth fixing everything. So she figures out that there are old satellites, and now that the space capsule has gone higher than it was meant to, they're in sight of the old satellites.
Yeah.
So if she gets some old tech, she can talk to the old satellites, and then when they're in the window, when they're passing, because they have to be in line of sight, they can talk to them for about 12 minutes. And I like, because she's been trying to speak to Trip Hauser, and he's like, "Oh, who's that?" And they're like, "Oh, she's the wife of, one of the things." And he goes, "Oh, well, I don't want to talk to her. Just tell her everything's fine." And they're like, "Yeah, you can't do that. She's like a rocket scientist." And he goes, "Oh, well, tell her I can't talk to her until we're not suing each other anymore." So when he finally talks to her, he's like, "Who's this one again?" And she goes, "I'm the woman who's gonna save your undeserving ass." Like, we love Karen.
I like the using of old tech. It feels very The Martian to me. Like it's like in The Martian when they used the old Mars rover to communicate with Matt Damon. And yeah, it just kind of shows it like there's been a lot of space stuff over the years. There's a lot of stuff up there that's probably not used anymore. So it was kind of smart. I like that, like, here's the latest technology from 1997. And you got this old briefcase with like the satellite phone technology they're using to talk to them. And I think it was very, very funny when the phone, the cell phone floating around in this capsule turns into 911 calling them. That was hilarious. I'm like, how are they going to call 911? No, 911's going to call them. Yeah. So it's like, got somebody's phone, and Hen's like, "I think it's mine." And I'm like, "Hen, why are you bringing your phone to space?" Like, I don't understand. But I guess it's film. I guess you eat beans. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Okay.
On it. But you did say Karen asked her to take lots of pictures. But and then like Maddie's in the room and she's like talking to Trip Hauser, and then she goes, "Okay, now I'll patch you." And she has to run out of the room. Someone else could have done that. You could have been at your desk and they could have waved at you. I know it was like a split second, but we're on a time crunch here. But the guy with the tech is Terry. And you don't know Terry because he hasn't been in it since season 5, but he used to be in it quite a bit. So when he turned up, I was like, "Terry!"
So excited to see Terry again.
You made him go up on the roof and brave the meteors falling from the sky, right? It was like Terry was put in a pretty dangerous situation to save me.
Yeah. Oh. And then we get the situation in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, that was my favorite. That was my favorite chin line. "Killer robots, sure, why not?" And it's just wielding like fucking scalpels.
The scalpel's got a laser. It's a deadly laser. It's like just going crazy, and then Buck's trapped in the room with it, and he's kind of like ducking avoid.
And the light is swinging around, and he's having to duck and dive and bob and weave. And he saves himself with a clipboard, which you haven't met Clipboard Book, but Clipboard Book is very near and dear to my heart. If you give Book a clipboard, he turns into a tyrant. It's hilarious. So a clipboard saving his life is so appropriate. He has almost the same kind of relationship with a clipboard as I think he does with a circular saw. Buck and a circular saw. They're very close friends. Never get between Buck and a circular saw. And then, yeah, that is... Yeah. Then he goes, because they try and put the code in to stop the robot, and then and it doesn't work. And Chim's like, well, pull the plug. And I'm like, what is it plugged into? Because it got all the way out of the room and into the reception area. And then it's like, what, plugged into the what? How long is that cord? Like, that didn't make any sense.
It really doesn't make sense for them to have a robot like that can move around like that. Like, I think if they had like a surgery robot, you would just wheel it in. It should not be under its own steam. You know what I mean? Like, it just... Let's just bring it into the room, let it do its surgery, and then bring it out and move it somewhere else. That seems like a good design.
But I do like it because, you know, I'm one of those people who worries we rely too much on technology. Like, I'm not into self-driving cars and all that sort of stuff. Like, it just seems like we're asking for trouble. Because if one of these things does go wrong, everything goes wrong. And I saw somebody say, oh, it didn't make any sense to me that the entire hospital would be run on this one company. And I'm like, really? Like, your entire company in the 90s didn't run on Windows? Like, that's just how it works. You get a contract with one company. That company has 6,000 satellites in space, and they are it seems like they're the only ones. They have probably bought up all these little companies along the way, and now they have complete control over that sort of stuff. So you don't even have an option of going with someone else. So it makes complete sense to me that the entire hospital system would be run on this one system. But Auntie is saying here, Technophobe Eddie must feel so vindicated right now. And that is what I missed from this episode, was Eddie being either justified, apart from the Uber driver mention about the self-driving car, Eddie is a well-known technophobe. I wanted a little bit more, maybe we'll get it in the next episode, of Eddie either going, see, I told you, or just being terrified of everything. And then at the very end of the episode, we got a space fire. And that was the end.
Yeah, and that's how we they always ended on a cliffhanger. They do another turn it off and on again. They re-plug in some boards into new things. And there's this just moment where they're like, is it going to work? And then nothing happens. And all of a sudden the thrusters fire and they're re-entering. By the way, the re-entry is like the most dangerous part of space travel. So they are not out of the woods just yet. Like, they're all celebrating. I'm like, guys, they are not back yet. This is not the time to celebrate. Let's wait till they're on the ground. But then they get fire coming out of the vents. So then there's like, oh, fire suppression system, but that doesn't work. That shorts out. So the whole thing is just like, and I think the whole message of this episode, these episodes it is about over-reliance on technology and having all these privatized governments or privatized companies running this kind of stuff, doing space travel, because the quality is not going to be as good as if NASA does it, right? Like an actual space agency. And yeah, the over-reliance on technology. Like, I believe Elon Musk does own a company that like has internet. It's like satellite internet service, right? I don't remember what it's called, but it does like provide most internet service for like rural areas here in Canada, I'm sure everywhere else in the world. Something like that, yeah. But it's like all you need is it's a really good idea. Like, it's not to say it's not a good idea, but you put a satellite dish out on your roof and then you get internet sent in from satellite, right? It makes sense. But that's like the only company doing it. Nobody else can compete with him. He's the only one doing it. So he has complete control over all the internet service of like all these people in rural areas. It's because the other companies don't want to build out the infrastructure that they would need to actually give internet support to those areas.
Yeah. And even if they did, he would buy them up and he'd still own a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good messaging in here. I get the anti technology and anti over reliance on technology thing. I have no doubt that they're going to get to the ground safely. I have no idea how they're going to do it. But I'm sure a scene will take over and pilot that to the ground.
That's what I remember about Apollo 13, was there was a lot of stuff because they had to come in at the right angle.
Right, yes. That's right.
We had to do the whole whipping around the moon thing so that they could come in at the right angle. Because it is a minuscule window for you to get through the atmosphere. And if you don't hit that window, you're going to bounce off it. So, yeah. Now, interestingly, I can't remember what the next episode is called, but episode 4 is called Re-Entry. I really hope they're not stuck in that. I hope it's more like Athena re-entering society and her family.
Yeah.
Like,
It's one called like Spiraling. I think that's the name of this one. Spiraling.
Spiraling was number 2. So I don't know I can't remember what number 3 is. Is Ante still here? Can Ante tell us? But yes, and so so fire was coming in and we could hear them panicking, and they said the whole thing is Athena. I think it was Athena's voice said the whole thing is on fire. So now, considering, do you remember last season the whole building came down and I had a tiny issue? I mean, I barely mentioned it.
Oh, I remember it. I can probably pull the cliff.
I mean, it was a tiny thing that, I mean, I didn't have a big issue with it. But yeah, when she said the whole building came down, and the whole building didn't come down. So when she says the whole thing is on fire, I think it's probably like a 1/4 inch of something that's on fire.
Well, we always saw it coming. It was coming out of the vents, right? So it's like, and fire in space is not something to be like, that is a dangerous thing. Fire in space is like going to kill you if you don't get it under control.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
But I don't
I know we lost the contact with them because they came out of the window, so we don't know.
Like, not to wait till they go around again before we're going to get back in contact with them. So I don't know how long that takes. Probably about half an hour.
I think, well, I was saying 45 minutes, but that is how long that Ewan McGregor said a whale stays underwater.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Yes.
I'm so glad you enjoyed them, because we haven't done this chat since we finished season 8, and I did think, is Dan just going to watch these first 2 episodes and go, I am done with this?
I missed it. I have to say, I missed it. I really did. It felt good to come back to it. It felt good to have a show to watch like this. I don't have a lot of other shows right now that I'm watching. I've been doing all the horror movies lately, so it's good. I love the show. It's a lot of fun. It's good without Bobby. It's still good without Bobby. Although I will say the thumbnail on Disney Plus is just of Bobby Nash. It's just a classic like Bobby Nash pose. I'm like, there's just rubbing it in our faces now. Like, what's the point of this? Just like, I know he's a character. I know there's 8 seasons of him, but he's gone now, and you're not helping anything.
Yeah,
by showing this.
You're not making it any better. So yeah. Okay, well, I'm so glad we could do this. I'll let you go now, because you have like the rest of your day. I'm just going to go to bed, but you have like the rest of your day. And we will talk again next week when we will be talking about 911 Season 9, Episode 3, title Unremembered. I'm normally good with that sort of thing. All right, I'll see you next week then. Have a good time. Bye.